All right, all
Good
right.
evening.
Welcome back to the Three Marketeers Show. This is episode 93, and we have Ian. Put your hands together for Ian. I think this is Ian. This like fourth time you join us, right?
I think it's
Fourth,
third time.
third
Fourth.
time. Okay. I
think
just
it's
want to
third.
make sure that CY is
Yeah,
not
a lot
beaten
of
yet.
times. A lot of times.
Is CY
It
beaten yet?
shows how good it is.
Okay.
Yes,
Yay. Oh,
absolutely.
Richard is here. What's up, Richard? What's up, Richard? All right. Okay,
Hey,
now
hi.
today the topic is a very interesting topic. I think we love to hear about entrepreneurship, especially about the ups and downs. And I think it's a very good synchronization because last week we talked about building an online business. And today we talk about entrepreneurship. I guess we will actually quickly kickstart with the first question about the differentiation of these two. But before that, I have to give Manfred the honor to introduce Ian once again. In fact, this is the first time we meet him. And if this is the first time you meet us, this is Jason and I have Manfred in the purple and Andrew in black. Is that black?
Black, yes.
Okay, now mine is navy blue. It's not black. Anyway,
Yes.
so
Yes.
if this is the first time you see us, then we have been doing this for 93 weeks.
93 episodes.
93 weeks. All right, we were just
Yes.
saying
Wow,
that.
a lot of discipline, man. This one really.
I mean, who is insane enough to pull this kind of crazy like number of episode, right? We are reaching 100, and nonetheless, we have Ian here today, and Manfred, you're up.
Yeah, I want to keep the tradition of doing a very bad introduction of all my guests.
You and you. Okay, I'll let you do that.
Okay.
Okay,
Ian,
yeah.
I met him when I was in one of the enterprise businesses. So Ian was, I was very impressed by his knowledge, and truly he knows his stuff. Although he like to give me politically correct answer sometimes. He said you must see it in the right perspective. Cannot say it is confirmed will be correct or wrong. And sometimes you think back, actually he has a point. He actually brings you to see things in a very different perspective. That's what I really like about him. Okay, and the more you talk, you listen to him, you learn more things. Isn't that a good introduction?
Okay, I'll let you pass off. One of the best among all. Okay, I've heard worse. Okay, guys, let's vote. How many points or how many marks you give Manfred for this
Yeah,
one?
from a
Rating
scale of 1 to
10.
5.
1 to 5. Okay.
1 to 5, don't go
We
below
1 to 5.
10.
5
5.
being awesome, 1
Yes.
being awesomely bad. You know,
Yeah.
so see which one is really the right one. All right. So yeah, because Richard was saying, see how far he pesong this time, right?
Yeah,
This
man.
is like really seeing you, right? So
Went to
Siwa is
Kedah, to
excited
Singapore, and come back.
Yep. Siwa is excited that Ian is back and he already
Yes.
posted a question. But before that, before we bring out Siwa's question and some of the questions that we have prepared, but it's not in the, like the banner at the bottom. So I think Ian, help us understand you aside from whatever we heard from Manfred just now. So what do you do? Okay, in your own terms, in your own words. What do you do, and how do you help businesses? How long have you been doing this? And any story you want to share with us?
Oh, okay. So maybe let me start off with like how I even like stumble into this digital marketing industry. So in fact, right, I think I started in 2011, right after my national service. So in fact, that time I was like more of like an in-house marketer in the agency. Then from there, that's where I see my colleague, they are running campaigns, managing campaigns, and from there, I think that hey, why not? I should like start to specialize because I only had a diploma, right? So in Singapore wise, competing with fresh grad is going to be a challenge. Then the only thing, right, that no one can judge me that time, right, based on qualification is if I able to acquire the skill of digital marketing. So because there isn't a cert that time, right? So the only way for me to carve out a career path is to specialize in digital marketing. So that's where like self-learn, SEO, like watch a lot of YouTube video, forum, and that's where I pick up the skill set. Then from there, end up joining agencies. From there have been like in this digital marketing journey throughout. Yeah. So in fact, I think that was where I first started having always in the operation side where managing campaign. Then in 2016, right, I think started to like this like because in fact before I started my was in this agency, right, when I was in a agency as the search operation, I would say the search specialist, right, managing search campaign. Then that's where I really think of like trying to get some freelance projects, to want to build my client base. But I realized that to build when you have a full-time job, right, it is very hard because I would say one whole week you will be working at your full-time job. You can't really build a customers on during like weekend, right? So then that's where in 2016 I decided to take a leap of faith to start something on my own, right? Yeah, so have been doing this since 2016. Yeah.
Awesome. 2016, that's a long way.
Long way,
we're
man.
closing into like how many years now? 8. It's 7.
No,
Oh,
six
6
years.
years.
6,
6
7
years?
years. Yeah, 6,
Yep.
7 years. That's a very good year.
Right.
When you reach 10, it's really something that you should celebrate in a way.
All right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Are
I
you,
mean, yeah, Andrew, please.
when I was starting up my the in-house so-called digital arm for the company that I previously worked with, my boss used to, mock me or basically say that, Andrew, why it's so difficult to get digital marketers? And then what I realized is this. So I told him, I says, if good, really, really good digital marketers, they are either freelancers or they'll probably be running an agency now. They ain't going to work for a company. Because these are the skill sets that you can actually use and multiply and basically grow your income on your own, right? So it is very difficult if anybody who wants to start an in-house one, because once they get really, really good, they can actually run their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely.
That's very true. That's very true.
So in fact, I think in digital marketing wise, right, I would say it's more on like whether as in you can monetize your skill set via a few model, right? In a way like for example product launches like what Jason and Andrew you guys have been doing. Then in e-commerce, right, or even like what I'm doing like running as in running an agency, right? So these are just ways for us to monetize our digital marketing skill set. So I think that was why as in like you mentioned, once in digital marketing especially, right, those good ones most likely they will have think of in fact a lot of as in agencies out there, their background is they branch out from agency background as well. Yeah, so that is what I noticed as in the industry.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I think that pretty much answered TY's question about what made you choose this route, which is I think you sort of answered that.
Yeah.
And what TY was saying, Manfred now knows how to do politically correct intros because he's meeting people, the guy who is always politically correct. So I think he has learned a bit of things from him. Not bad.
No,
So
I guess that point sorry, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, because I think that point was whenever like Manfred will ask certain questions, right? Because for me, like a question for as simple as like, oh, how do you know like whether is this ad copies better or not, right? And then for me, whenever a person asks me this, I will always tell him saying that you need to test, because even for me, I will not be able to predict, right? If I can, right, then every single campaign I roll out will be a 100% successful campaign.
Oh, that's
Let the
how
data
that's why
tell
he
you.
say you politically correct lah.
Something
Okay,
along
then
that line,
we
if I
gotta
recall
screw this
correctly.
guy already. He's looking for a fortune teller, man. This is like, hey, what the hell, Manfred?
Sometimes the recent one I was asking him about the cost, so I'm just using this as a benchmark. So
I think even the cost shouldn't be asking other people because it's totally different.
No, we're going to set up the server itself, so I'm just using his past experience. Yeah, because I don't have the experience, so I'm just leveraging.
Okay.
Right.
I thought you're asking about ad creative, then not nice lah. That one not correct.
That one is 20 years ago already.
Cannot happen, right? Okay, man. It happened before. That's why Ian remembered it today. They brought it up. That's why.
That's my style of replying, because for me is if I tell like which ad copies work, right, I end up limiting the person's in a way his capability to find his own answers in a way, right? So I think I don't want to like give the straight answers, because ultimately I don't know which one is the right one without any data, right? So I don't want to for me, because in digital marketing I personally don't like to jump into conclusion and say like what works, what doesn't, like without any proper data to back. Of course, if I have done something and I know the data is the results, right, then I will be able to confidently say that, hey, this is the better options and why. But without data, right, as in for me, like maybe it's a kind of a 职业病, right, that I don't want to jump into conclusion. Yeah.
Actually, that's very true.
For my side, I think let me rephrase it again. If I have a certain experience in a certain industry, I tried before, I have this kind of results itself, I'm gladly sharing lah, so that everybody can learn. Of course, the run time may not be that fantastic. I should be longer lah, to make it more trustworthy lah. So I was hoping the same from him lah. But of course, he see it in different angle lah.
But yeah, because I would agree with Ian. If you ask me this question, I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Seriously, I
think-
can't. Yeah.
I think that the key thing among us practitioners is we won't know the result because each product, each market,
Yeah.
timing is different. But what we do know is we have certain, we
Metrics.
call it frameworks or certain methods that get us closer to
Correct.
the answer. And we know
Correct.
what to test rather than, somebody takes, I don't know, just run some ads and see, We don't do that obviously because we will have certain metrics and we will be looking for certain things to do and then we change. So
Correct.
I think the method is the key differentiating factor for practitioners and somebody who is basically just throw the dart or throw the
From the
spaghetti.
client side. I mean, I totally understand what client is looking for. I would say,
Absolutely.
I mean, based on a person who has been running an agency for a while, right? What I would say is, seriously, you are actually asking for a person to commit into something.
Yeah.
Whereas what we can actually do is, in fact, just spend very little money and put to test.
We know what to test, or we kind of know the metrics to test.
I mean, that's that. Even like, for example, I've experienced so many times, same industry, competitor, direct competitor, using the same framework.
different
Tank.
product.
What to do? Same audience targeting.
Yep.
Tank. What to do? I've experienced so many times. Property developers coming from the same area and all that.
Yeah.
Tank. I mean, because
Doing
it's
exactly
totally,
the same thing lah.
it's not exactly the same thing. It's not apple to apple. That's why we learn this. Like, I believe, I'm hoping that client can understand this. What I'm actually advocating here is I believe we can actually just spend very little, just $5. Can we do that? And test it. But let's not rant on this one. I guess, okay, no, we are not picking on Manfred. Manfred has got his own responsibility. He needs to answer to the boss. So he needs some answers. And the boss doesn't allow him to do the test publicly. What?
Yeah.
Correct. I totally understand your situation. Okay, but I believe we need to educate the boss a little bit. Now, okay, before we go there, right? Okay, so I was saying these politically correct answers. Now, agree to disagree, lah. But he has a question. All right, this is a very interesting question. Was there any downtime where you experienced burnout mentally and financially? Where you just feel like fuck it and flip table, throw towel kind of thing? Yeah, that's a very good one. That's a very good one.
I think
Let me pull everyone up.
Burnout, right? Okay, actually, from recently, a lot of people mentioned about burnout, as in the mental health and all this, right? Okay, I think for sure, everybody will have a stage, especially when you run business. You really don't have anyone to approach and just voice out your so-called problems, right? So that could be the source of burnout. But in general, I did not even reach that stage yet because I think maybe with a good support system at home, I think that is the only the thing that you can fall back on, you see, right? So I think if this business fail, I think for me to start something again, right, is definitely possible. That or just go back to get a full-time job. It's fine. So I think in Singapore or in general, in this generation, right, you will not starve to death as long as you're willing to put effort into doing certain things. So in a way, as long as you got skill set, I don't think that will be something going to as in so-called make you break down or in terms of financial wise. And most importantly, one of the main reason why agency model, right, is it is a very, very low capital kind of a business model. And that was why one of the main reason why agency model was the route. Then, and also in terms of I think maybe like I would say tiredness and all this is constant because the amount of sleep you get is I think not as much as when you were working full time. You have the corporate freedom, right? The so-called corporate freedom.
Yep.
In fact, I think in the past 6 years, I don't really have a proper clearing of leave and kind of situation, right? Even holidays, I still have to bring my laptops along in case. But I think things are getting better, right? So I think that is where you are building a system. It takes time, yeah. So, but of course, a lot of time where if you recently, in fact, few months back, right, I do have a team member mentioned saying that she faced burnout because from her previous agency experience. So I think that was what I think it's it's definitely a thing when it comes to burnout. So it's just how everyone so-called trying to manage their stress and all this. Yeah. So I think the support system is very important, especially for entrepreneurs because you literally have no one to turn to, right? if you have partners, maybe your partners can be the one, or your partners can be the equal, is equally burnout. So then the family will be one good support system to have.
Yep.
I think that's a good, very good advice. Yeah,
Very true.
yeah, Andrew.
Especially if you have a family, it is very important. The home must be absolutely stable. Because the last thing you want is you fight a war in the office, and it's going to be very long hours, especially when you're in
Correct.
business. And then the last thing you want, you step into the house and you step into another war zone. That will drive you crazy. So whatever it is, if you have a family, make sure the house is stable and do that. The second thing is, I think burnout is more about being tired. But I don't. If you enjoy your work, for example, like what I do now, I go to sleep, I think about the client's problem. But the first thing I wake up, I get excited because I get to implement some ideas. I will talk to the client and say, hey, I've got this idea. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it sounds like, can we try? Can we test? Or if I don't have any clients, I'll test it on myself. But it's so fun because if you're working for somebody, you can't go to, you can't go to the boss and say, boss, I just got an idea. Can we spend some money, or can we try this? The boss say, follow the corporate structure, follow the direction. But when you're working in an agency, you can do a lot of stuff, or either a freelancer, you can try. And I think that one keeps us going.
Yep.
And it's a lot more exciting because you get to create and destroy.
Correct. The sense of satisfaction is definitely there.
Absolutely.
So I think, in fact, many years back where I was working in an agency, right? I think when I took over account, replacing one of the ad operations person. So when I go in, first thing I propose is to literally restructure the whole search campaign. So the client might mention something that, hey, this is in her comment is like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, right? Because so in a way, the recognition or the validation is really one of the things that keep me going at initial stage of the career in digital marketing and in agency, right? So a lot of people they will say like, hey, agency life, like the hashtag agency life thing, right? Is agency life is very tough, but is really trying to, I think everywhere there is a tough side of it. Even client side, agency side will have its fair share. But I think if you see past the what you can get from an agency experience, right, is very, very valuable in terms of like equip yourself with the a skill that you will never get elsewhere, right? Then of course this is something, and of course the sense of satisfaction definitely keep me going, and why end up also set up an agency as well.
Picking the right customer obviously is important.
Oh, that's where I learned that this part is.
It's not just customer picking you, but you also have to pick your customers. I've been fortunate so far with the clients I run. Most of the emails I write, very rarely I actually run through with them, get their approval. After the first few emails, we sort of set the tone. The rest is basically I write, and they get a copy after that, after it's been sent. And I think that one is a trust and respect that you have to earn from your client in the first place.
Precisely.
Yep. So once you build that relationship, it becomes a lot more easier, because end of the day, clients expect you to solve their problems. If you're going to run back to them every day, or you happen to have a client that every single dot you put, you must get my approval, you got a client from hell, man.
Yep.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, it looks like today the whole session turns into a, like a agency building journey session, which is awesome. Nonetheless,
it's
a
entrepreneurship
show. It's entrepreneurship.
It's
It's his side of the story, definitely, right?
Correct.
Okay, and Chiwa is on the rail on the road
On the
today.
road.
Chiwa is saying like, for him, he doesn't have a mentor in his journey for 12 years. A lot of bang wall and get up again.
Right.
Only positivity is to keep going. We'll be finding balance between Gary V and Simon Sinek. Okay, but
it could be a GY style. You have 12 years of experience. You could be mentor somebody else.
But I get what he means.
Yeah.
About striking a balance, as in like, because he looked up to these two individual, Gary and Simon, and both are. I don't know about Simon. Simon runs an agency. I have no idea.
He does training. He does training consultancy.
I'm not sure whether he runs an agency, but Gary is no longer running the agency.
Gary
the cousin is
just a
doing
front.
that.
Yeah.
Actually,
Gary's style
really
is he always get CEOs to run it. He's just a face.
He's a brand builder. This guy is a brand builder. He's
absolutely.
a personal brand builder. So I think the journey is slightly different. But of course, Gary is crazy. If you're comparing Gary as a brand builder, Simon Sinek as a brand builder, I think, sorry, the GY, you're neither one, man. I mean, you haven't come out yet to build your own personal brand. You're building your agency. That's a different story.
Mm.
Do you agree that? Do you agree? Do you
Yes.
agree? You guys agree?
Second
I think this is
season of
something
Three Marketer Show, we
we
will
need
have
to
it.
plan about that as well.
So we need CY to step up and lead the Three Marketer Show for like I don't know season donkey after
Next
the
100
100 episode.
Yes.
Okay, CY is gonna take over the brand, the baton, and he's gonna run it because that's how you build your brand, man.
Yes. It.
Okay, ready for you
Yeah. Don't
Okay,
be the
now
don't be the
CY is
typo behind the
saying-
scene already.
Yeah, CY say one thing for sure, mixing around with the right circle of like-minded people would be great for this crazy journey. And glad you bumped
Oh,
into
yes.
TMS. Yeah,
It's a lonely journey. Not many people
definitely
will
it's a lonely
understand.
journey.
Right.
Yes.
But I guess we all entrepreneurs are pretty resilient, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we have to like really find a balance and in our own. It's like a personal. I mean, to be frank, I faced burnout several times.
Hmm.
Throughout my journey, 12 odd years. I mean, 12. I actually no, 10 to 20. Right. That's the 10 years agency route. A few times I actually drifted off to do something else, but I guess it's part of a journey. Don't beat
Yeah.
yourself up for that. It's really part of a journey that makes
That's right.
you today, right?
And
you are
the
saying,
network support is important. You know.
you are
among
saying
us.
that both are motivational speakers to keep your mental sane. Okay, I get what you mean now.
All
I get what
right.
you mean now. Okay, and now I want to circle back to a very important question that's supposed to set our stage today, because you talk about entrepreneurship. And last week we talked about building an online business. I want to have a definition from you, difference between building a business and being an entrepreneur.
Oh, this is first question.
This is the first question.
Oh.
I had this in mind because I think it's a very good, angle to start this conversation. Because last week we had talking about building an online business, online service-based business.
I think, to be honest, from my take, right, is entrepreneurship is more of a mindset, right? Even if you are working, right, this is as long as you got this mindset. Because entrepreneurs usually will create or even like build a system or out of nothing, you see. So if you are even in a corporate world, right, you can do that, right? It's just that maybe when you start a business, right, you start from a blank piece of paper, easier for you to build a system out, right? But when you are in the company, it is harder, and that's why some companies trying to adopt a kind of a startup mindset or entrepreneurship mindset where their employee can actually can follow, right? So I would say it's a more of a mindset. But building business is where your mindset you convert it into like action steps to build a business build a business out build a business, right? So that was how I see the differentiation. One is mindset, one is more towards like taking the actions.
Right. Well, okay. That's I agree with your definition in a way. I guess eventually.
What's your definition,
Politically
Jason?
correct answer.
No, I don't want to throw in any answer, but in my opinion, I think entrepreneurs are more like in my opinion, we are not really doing this business for money's sake. We have a mission, in a way. We want to achieve something. Yeah, like for my case, I'm not saying that I'm an entrepreneur. In fact, I'm like now, like putting in the leanest format I've ever had, for the longest time. But then again, I believe, just me. This is just me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe entrepreneurs are driven by a mission where, in my opinion, I want to educate clients. I believe every business should understand how Facebook advertising works. Instead of coming in and say that, what's the benchmark? Give me that, and I want to achieve that. What's the best? I'm sorry, man, sorry. That's what I have been doing, for the longest time. Because at one point I was actually telling my client, sorry, if you want to work together, you got to go through my class because I don't want to get into a situation where we don't speak the same lingo, when we don't see eye to eye. I think
That's
that's
a
me.
good one.
That's me.
Manfred, what do you think? Let's go through that. Let's start that. Yeah.
Tiba we grill Manfred like that. Hey, no good lah.
Andrew, you start first.
I start first. Okay.
Yeah.
I think, Jason, I resonate with you. Entrepreneurship, because we started because we wanted to solve a problem. It could be something that we lack, and we say that, well, now that we've come to a position where we can do something about it and we're going to solve this problem. And there's no structure to it, because we are going in and we don't know what we're going to do. We just know that we're going to solve this problem and we're going to just go ahead and do whatever it is up to a certain point. And that's what you call entrepreneurship, because you're starting something. But I think up to a certain point, then you discover that, hey, I could actually replicate this, or there is some form of system I can scale it up. Then you turn it into a business. And that's where you have structure in place, and that's where agency comes in. You hire people, you have procedures, you have SOP, because you now, through your entrepreneurship journey, you have discovered the roadblocks, the brick
Yep.
walls, and the yellow brick road, and you now take the business in along the path of yellow brick road through a certain processes, and that becomes a business. And a lot of entrepreneurs, eventually they are lousy businessmen because they're great at creating stuff, but they are lousy in operationalize and all those things. That's why they end up hiring CEOs, COOs, because they just like to think of problems to solve and then they solve it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, Manfred, you wanted to chip in? Yeah, I haven't
Entrepreneurship,
forgotten about that.
in my opinion, is someone saw a mess or someone saw an opportunity that he believed that it is you can build a unique selling point. Whether the market is really accept or not, that's another thing. Then he proceed to do it. Of course, along the way there will be a lot of holes that you fall into it, and you try to build something out of it, regardless of necessary is business or social enterprise. That's how I see it for entrepreneurship. So it is quite similar to building an online business, in the way I put it across.
Because sometimes I don't think it's like really solving a problem, right? Because for example, agency building is in starting an agency, right? It wasn't started off as trying to solve, because agency model is not unique, right? It's more towards like I love what I'm doing, right? In terms of like you see the data, you like to find the problem, like even like when you run a SEO audit, right? Literally, you are trying to do a full body checkup of this website, right? Trying to find problems and you learn along the way. So before started this agency, I'm learning things like how to how to run Facebook ads. Before I was doing Google search ads, right? And before that, it's also about learning about SEO, right? So you're trying to always expand your knowledge. But when I start the agency, things I want to learn are changing towards how to lead a team, how to build a team, team structure, like how to be a better leader or something like that. So and the kind of satisfaction is no longer coming from campaign. Maybe campaign results still give me the sense of satisfaction, but when you see your team grow and also like they get to gain the knowledge that as in they get to lead a project and the campaign is performing very well, right? Then in fact I also get the kind of like satisfaction that hey, this is in my team member grow as well, grow together with my agency.
Yeah.
So I think I will say the goal is different before I start and now when I start this business. Yeah. So but I think if when it comes to creating or solving a problem, I think agency wise is a business that is an easy to start business, but for you to stay in the agency business long, right, is really also quite a tough business to be in, to be honest.
Not easy. It's a people's business.
Definitely.
Correct.
That's why I actually agreed. I actually agreed to Gary's. He actually had one statement. He actually asked one of the guy who asked him questions. Okay, the guy asked him, what kind of business should I be building? And he said, in fact, why are you building a business in the first place? Why are you starting a business in the first place? Okay, you're starting a business because you want to grow yourself.
Yeah.
If you look at it, entrepreneurship is actually the best personal development journey.
Yeah.
Because
you discover a lot of yourself.
Yeah, you discover a lot about yourself, and it's a self-discovery journey as well. And Gary once said also in one of his interviews, I don't listen to it. A lot of his interviews don't like, hey, wow, Jason, like you coin, like what the hell just so happened lah. At that point of time, because I got nothing to do. I was driving, so I just binged lah. So
yes, of course.
happened.
Yes, of course. That's
We understand.
I mean, it's just happened, right? I don't really agree with him in certain things, but this part I believe. That's why he said building a business is not about growing a business big. You see, a lot of people believe that in order to build a business, in order to start a business, I need to build it big. Actually, I believe in that as well. I wanted to build it big. But at the end of the day, when it's big, I realize no, it's not what I want.
Yes.
It's like shit.
Right.
It's like a shit hole.
Yep.
And I realized, then he said, you got to build a business that you enjoy, that you are achieving your whatever you believe you want to achieve in your life, or however you want to build yourself into.
Yeah.
And that's the journey that you enjoy. So I totally agree with Ian over here, because you got to do something first you truly enjoy.
Yes.
Don't try to do something that, oh wow, that dude is doing that. I believe he's making money, so let's go in.
Yeah, let's go in. Chase the
And
money. lah.
I think the most beautiful thing, right, is the freedom of choice. Because when you run the business, right, like Andrew mentioned, right, you wouldn't want to take in clients that doesn't fit your own as in process and nightmare clients, right? So freedom of choice is one thing, and also in when you're working, right. Yes, as in I mentioned, I don't take leave for like 6 years, but I think one thing that I as in you get to have the choice, like okay, now today I need to spend time with my son, then I will just block out my timing and not to have any form of meetings, and of course with my team now to be able to help me a lot, right? Then I get to buy time for myself, right?
Yeah.
So that is a most important thing, where if because when you were working for somebody, right, you need to go through all the like leave applications and stuff like that. So I think one and also when you face a very very bad client, you don't have the rights to say, hey, I don't want to take you as in take this project, right? But when now I think the freedom of choice, as long as your cash flow is everything is healthy, very good, then you have that freedom of choice, right? So that's where we don't overstretch, and yeah, make sure we continue to retain this freedom of choice.
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, share with us what was the biggest challenge you faced throughout your entrepreneurship journey?
Wow, I think the initial challenge was more towards like building as in the business when it comes to a constant flow of revenue, right? Then the next challenge was to build a team, right? So I think the first part of it is in these two stages, right, have its unique set of problems, right? So for the first one is more towards like how are you going to build up a lead pipeline, right? So that you can at least have a constant and more predictable flow of leads. And of course, once you build the base, and that's where you need to start building a team. Then when it comes to building a team, is another I would say whole lot of things to take care of. And for example, for me, in fact, I started building my team without as in making it a full remote setup, where even my account management person are all based remotely, right? So literally, I will just tell my clients saying that, hey, we are a full remote agency. Even my team members, my account servicing person, right, is based elsewhere, right?
Right.
So I think it's rare that not every as in people are so used to everyone is so used to having as in because to them account servicing person is always face to face, right? But I think COVID did help me to balance this as in to change this view, right? So I also appreciate like this aspect of this pandemic, to be honest. Then I think so I think the challenge now is once you're able to build a team, then it's more towards the how to grow, right? In fact, the initial stage of building the team, you get to have like people come and go, and literally it the feeling, right, the setback is where you feel like you take 3 steps forward and end up taking 2 steps back again when somebody leave. And my as in the ideal team to start off, right, is what you initially you find that, hey, I already have the ideal team, full set of team. Then when somebody left, then the gap is there, you have to find someone to replace. Yeah, so that is the setback I had when I was building team,
I see.
my team members. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, building a team is really one of the things that I think I believe you choose the good route. It's a very good route where you start with the agency model. Like you said, it's a very low cap kind of
Yeah.
startup. And as long as you're able to get the client through the door, then eventually you start making money right away. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you manage
I think.
winter?
As in low
Like we have all freaking winter, right? Like now we're expecting another winter coming up because of the inflation, because of the market volatile, and people are pulling back. Like you're just saying that the CPM is going down. I actually saw that
Yep.
as well from my
Oh, is
cases.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
the CPM is going down because a lot of advertisers are holding back.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why it's a good time. If you guys want to come in and in for kill, then this is really a good time that you can actually reach
Yeah.
more people with the same amount of money that you are spending right
Correct.
now.
Well, that's
But then
interesting.
again, when it comes to agency part of business, right? Like, how do you manage downtime? What is your flow, or what is your philosophy, or what is your method in keeping the company afloat when it's down?
So I think what the main thing is, because as in initially, right, I think I only started to build my team in the maybe like a fifth or like four plus to 5 years mark. So initially I'm very very like as in concerned that whether can as in is the the revenue able to sustain as in a full timer, especially when you're trying to hire in Singapore. But of course, the concept of making full remote, right? Then it definitely opens up a lot of opportunity and talent pool as well. So I
Oh,
think keeping myself is in the overheads very lean, very low. It definitely give you a very strong runway, as in for you to make sure as in cash flow. I think that is the main thing, because to me, right, I think this crisis can be also an opportunity, right? So I think that is something where I see that it helps to also in a way, when you emerge right from this crisis, you become a stronger company as a company lah. So that was what I think I see this crisis. Yeah.
Great, a
So
little
like
bit,
I mentioned,
if you don't mind,
mm,
Ian. Sorry, sorry
yeah,
to
go ahead.
interrupt. I
No
just want
problem,
to
no
like
problem.
quickly touch on this. What is
Mm.
your your definition of healthy cash flow? How many months?
Wow. Actually, okay. So, I didn't calculate the number of months in terms of cash in the cash flow, right? But from the kind of monthly expenditure is, I would say, up to like a year, for sure, more than a year,
That's very
even.
strong.
Yeah.
oh,
So because
That's
maybe
very
it's
strong.
very conservative, that as in, so that is where also, because agency itself is a cash generating business. As long you don't like like throw money everywhere, and as in you will have a very strong cash flow, right?
mm,
So it's always how you manage. And of course, me, because a lot of people, right, they like to have that kind of feeling where, oh, I have an office, I see my team as in a huge team, and they get that kind of they you know, the
I
ego
do
kind of
that.
thing, right?
right.
I do that. Oh my god, stupid,
So
crazy,
I
stupid. Yeah.
go past that I don't need that, because in fact I think to me, whether the team members is in front of me or remotely, right, there is in we are still a team, right? So to me, that's where it helped me to keep the overheads very low, right?
Mm.
And at the same time, as in, I think as in, of course, this is something that I find that it helping me a lot, especially in this business. And of course, when you're able to hire remotely, right, you can also allocate more resources for client, right? Each client will get a designer, get a person to run ads, a SEO, and also writer. Then you can ensure campaign will perform better, right?
Right.
And this you can retain client longer. In fact, client have been their client who stay with me like since in 6 years ago, right? So I think this is something that you don't get it if you're trying to hire like locally in a way, right? So end up you have to throw a lot of clients to that particular account, and the employee will tell you, say, hey boss, I burn out,
Mm.
because
Mm.
you need to make his or her salary make sense, right? So the only way is to really give a lot of clients. So I think I'm trying to managing this the level of service, right, level of the campaign quality, at the same time making sure it makes sense financially lah for the company.
Are you
I
still hiring?
In fact, I am always trying to find, so
Okay,
like, as in
guys,
I
check out Ian Roots Digital. If you have, I think you have
yeah,
your LinkedIn.
yes.
Yes. So
yeah.
if
This
you are very well skilled and you want to be able to understand and learn from this guy, obviously hearing from him is a pretty good boss. So
I
you
can
should
see,
do
yeah, and
that. Yeah,
I like the way that a boss with this kind of runway. This is really.
correct.
I
It's
mean, one
stable.
word is conservative lah, but
Yeah.
another word is this is solid.
Mm.
Because I always find it's very like you the person trusts you to choose you as an organization, because it's a two-way thing, right? Although like you are in a way paying the salary, but it's a two-way thing. They need to trust you before they can choose you as a company to work for. Then
Yeah.
you also have to trust the person before you can hire, right?
Right.
Then I always find it very as in, not really good if you hire the person and few months later you say that, hey, because of cash flow issue, because of wrong decision,
Right.
I need to let you go. So it's really a very demoralizing thing lah for
Yeah.
the receiving end. So that is where I think you now see a lot of retrenchment, hiring freeze, and the way they handle can be quite not so in a not in a good manner, right? So that is where that's the last thing I want. And with this way of, as in, managing the finances part, right, then I will not allow this to happen, right? So there are some of the things that I, because if I'm trying to put myself in their shoe, I would never want this to happen. In fact, in a lot of agency, they hire a team when they win an account, but you okay, in a way, client will never be loyal. Account comes and go, and if you build a dedicated team for that one account, right, you always will have risk that if the account leave, the whole team will have to go with you with
Yeah.
the client, right? Then to me, I think this is a very, very bad practice. But you know, a lot of companies out there, they don't even care. Like employees, like a disposable kind of a as in resource,
Asset.
right? So
You
yeah,
resource.
asset.
No,
So I
it's not asset. It's actually resource. You're right.
They want to look good, man.
Yeah.
They want to look
So
good
I
in front
think
of the client.
if I were them, right, I wouldn't want this to happen. So that was what I'm trying to also make sure.
I think I like your
All
model.
right.
You know, I think
That's
it's a very
good.
good model. And CY say office big must have a pool table and a bar, right?
Yeah.
Sort
Must
of,
have
right?
secretary.
So,
Must have
yeah,
PA.
secretary.
Must have
You
driver.
spend more with Google, Yahoo in the past, right? A lot of agency they have all these pool table, right? Because they
Right.
spend a lot on Yahoo.
Yeah, because they
Yahoo and, like,
believe in the
Yeah.
Google culture and whatnot. Like, I mean, that's
Correct.
really the thing at the back. You know,
Yeah.
I was fooled into that as well in one way.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually I did that. You know, I built a startup. I raised some money and I used the money to do that. Totally wrong decision. So I totally agree with you. So don't do that shit, right?
Yes.
And CY said he wants Ian to buy him out. Okay, now you guys can go talk.
You guys talk lah.
Oh, I always tell Chibai that I want to hire, because my team members now mainly in Indonesia and Philippines. I'm trying to look for candidates in Malaysia. Wow, as in, you know how I hire is I don't get recruiters. So I go to LinkedIn and go to every profile, trying to find potential candidates poached
Wow.
from other agencies.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
For
Okay.
people who are listening right now, you know who to reach out.
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
you all see my connection request, feel free to accept.
Yeah. Or either seek him out, man.
He's
Pick
gonna
him
he's,
up.
he's a good boss and he has a very interesting model over there and he has
Yes.
more than one way around 1 year
Solid lah.
away.
He's solid.
Solid lah.
Yeah, you're solid. I like that.
Solid lah. And then
solid.
Chiwai was saying there are 4 agencies, they hire all-star team, causing high overhead each month, and when the account goes away, they couldn't secure the new account. Jalan. Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Those were the
I've
go-go
seen that.
days, right? Nowadays it doesn't happen.
No more
really,
already
right?
lah. I think
Those
now things changed. I totally
80s,
agree.
90s, those days.
Yeah.
Those were the
Back
days.
then was the high time of
Correct.
an agency. In fact, high time I would say is about 15, 16.
Right.
That was really the best time. You know, you charge premium,
Mm.
and then client in a way started to spend big and stuff like that. 17, 18, it was kind of like the prime time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like the prime time there. I mean, based on my observation, I might be wrong, but different
Yeah.
people will see different situation. But in Malaysia time, that was when the time where really people start looking at because they saw the power of like Facebook ads, Instagram
I
ads,
see.
and people are flocking there.
Right.
But I totally agree. You know, I've seen especially those agencies that work with startups.
Mm.
I've seen so many times. You know, startups that hire, startups that raise some money.
Oh.
I've seen, raise money, and I said
Burn
I have
money.
raised of 10 hundreds of million, and I want you to take my account, but you gotta give me term.
Right.
Burn down, and can't get the
Oh.
fucking money back,
Wow. Yeah.
because they
Because
spend
a lot of-
first. Back then, a lot
Precisely.
of this kind of practice they spend first.
Mm.
That's insane, man.
Correct.
But,
I think a lot of
yeah.
startups they feel, right, is in you will more or less notice something is not so as in right when you see that they're hiring already a hiring frenzy lah. So that's where is in the kind of hiring is really crazy to extend, right? You also don't even know like what when you go as in what the person is doing in that particular startup organization. So it's really like a mass hiring. Then in the end, you also get to see mass layoff as well. Right. So I think that is something, and also in agency wise, it's very the current model, right? They are still very top heavy as well, right? They have a lot of directors, but the operations team is very, very lean. Then this is the case where why they need directors, because when you front them with as in you let them front the project, right? You can actually charge a higher man hours. But when it comes to campaign wise, with little resources managing it, right? It make it very hard for you to ensure campaign performance.
Some
right?
even
So this is
outsource.
precisely.
Mm.
Some
That's
even
very
outsource.
common.
Yeah, it actually happens in. I mean, I'm not saying that this is bad, but I would say different practice is really their choice.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I started teaching, because that's one thing that I hope. I mean, because to me, if you want to work with agency, you gotta know your stuff.
Mm.
Yep.
You don't want to get fooled by your agency because they are probably teaching you the wrong stuff. And I've seen so many, and client suffers. It's not a good thing, right? And CY says startup got VC, so hantam do it by engaging agency, spend first, thing later. Sometimes they overpromise. My situation was my partner agency back then. They took the promise. Okay, I want to spend 100,000, but I pay you 50 first.
Oh, okay.
I pay you 50 first, but I'm gonna spend 100. I'm gonna sign. I sign.
Right.
Fucking sign.
Right.
Then, you slow chase lah. 50 grand. it's not very little money, you know. That's
Yeah.
actually that's kind of the situation. All right,
And
and
sometimes
yeah,
when
you
they are
saying?
well founded, right, they try to also build their own in-house team as well. But I think like also just now before this call, we also talk about like as in companies trying to build in-house team.
Yep.
I think it's not easy because when you build a team, right, you also need to know like what kind of what kind of processes all these to make sure the in-house digital team is going to follow, right? So as in for agency, it's so specialized. It's really on, like for example, digital agency, right? So specialized on building a team to make sure digital campaign work. But of course, not saying in-house team can't do it. It's really like you really need to have a very very strong as in financially wise is financial wise very strong, right? To build a in-house team, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really dedicated to one and only account, which is the company.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Correct.
right. You know, Richard was saying common challenge, especially people like startups. They think they have ads are magic pill. Turn on and make make unicorn top and mid funnel also blame ads. Actually, very true. Because this is the problem when you have the whole product is not working already. You raise how much money also, it's not gonna save you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually been through that. You know, been there done that in a way. The product was going downhill. It's no longer working.
Yeah.
You keep clinging on it. It also doesn't make sense. So one of the mistake I made back then was I didn't pivot fast enough. I built too fast. I start too fast. I didn't pivot fast enough when the thing happened. So well, lesson learned, right?
Yep.
And should I say to answer my question, you started as a behind the scene outsource partner. Same.
I think most of us started from there.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I started that as well. Work with so many like clients, and they take good cut.
But they got a name, you see. They build out the name. The
Yes,
value,
yes.
that's the value. They build out the name.
Yeah, that's theirs. At one point, they were even asking us to hold their name card.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Back then, that was like donkey years ago.
We've been
Old school
through that, man.
practice, old school practice.
Yes. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
It's
wrong.
honest living.
That's very true.
Yep.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Everybody started somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your end game? Let's say if there is any in your mind. What do you want to do? Let's say
That's
you
a
build your company. What's your end game? You want to get acquired? You want to sell? You want to keep it running until like you grow old? What's the end game?
In fact, there's a few possible may not be exit strategy, but it's more so selling it could be one option. But to be honest, I always find that agency, unless you really have a very strong process, then you can really allow buyer to value that process. But other than that, for a service business, right, it's not really like a product-based business. I think the valuation is always going to be not so good, right? But to me, I think I plan to, because the team that I built now, right, people who is strong in SEO, ad operations, design, and all this, right, I can always use this same team to build other business, right? So along the way, as we are using so agency side of things is like a cash generating business. Then whereas using that to build other because ultimately I love digital marketing, right? But to be honest, when you are working on clients' campaign, no matter how good you are, right, you are always being limited by the client side, right? When you propose certain things, you get rejected. You propose 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, right? You get rejected. Then after that, you don't feel like proposing anymore, right? So I would want to build something on my own. And recently, that's where we start working on like being more towards like companies like Money Smart and all these. They are those aggregator. They go by commission based or affiliate model. So we are moving towards that. Just that we are using ads, right, to try on some clients to give us more flexibility, right, in terms of literally it's like a business for ourselves. Yeah. So this is what we are trying to test out recently as well, especially with a team. Easier for me to test out multiple as a model.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, because to be frank, I totally agree with you that it's very difficult to sell an agency. I know one of the largest in the region. I've been trying to sell for years now.
It's hard.
It's that hard.
No, the buyer is going to say, if I buy Jason or Ian's agency for whatever dollars, tomorrow Ian can just go out and start up another thing and bring the whole entire team, and all I have is just a company with a shelf and maybe some accounts. So the problem is Ian will also take the accounts along the way. That's it.
So a lot of for sure the clause will most likely involve acqui-hire. But I think in general, right, I also don't want to build the agency like branded under like me, right? Then because I think when it comes to campaign wise, it's always a team effort. So that's why I think for I also trying to make sure it's not going to be just like a single person trying to be the face of this agency, right? But of course, using personal brand building is, I find, is a good lead generation method as well. So but in general, I think I don't want to first start off with like maybe brand under my name like Ian's agency or something like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is to avoid, as in, kind of improving my chance of a potential exit maybe.
Wow. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and Shirai said the big boys sell unicorn farts like Rainbow. They bring back the requirement of how to execute. That's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true.
Promise
And
first,
Shirai is saying
deliver
that
later.
he's ready for you to buy, huh? Okay, you
TY,
guys stop. You
why
guys stop.
think about selling? Why don't you
Yeah.
just form an affiliate partnership with our friend, man?
That's very true.
Yeah.
Mm,
Then
then
you get
Richard
your own
say-
direction. You can build your own stuff.
correct.
True. True.
And collaborate.
And Richard say agency is a people business. Once the key people go, agency can close shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just one of a C anchor account to follow an employee that left
Yep.
the agency. Actually, that's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true. We see that often,
It's a
especially
people's business. You're
you know,
right.
if you're in the
Yep.
business itself, right? I like the idea that you have the thought of building products, as in like probably start creating a brand that sell things.
Yeah.
In fact, that's
Yep.
one of the route that I went. And at one point, I started building so-called softwares. Softwares that I believe
Wow.
I want to use. And
Heavy
eventually,
investment.
oh yeah, man,
Crazy.
that's one of the angle. Burn heavily software.
Well, that's what entrepreneurs do.
Yeah, and then eventually, then I realized I totally agree with you that that's why I took the personal branding route,
Mm.
because that's where I can totally lean up everything and still grow.
Yeah.
And because as a brand, in a way, you won't. I mean, it's a brand, right?
I think the
Yeah.
brand equity do have value. That's why I think now I think sometimes when you see companies, they buy domain, right? Like, okay, so recently I always start using this example. So okay, I tell myself this year I need to focus a lot more on the digital, as in marketing myself, right? So that is where like for example, ranking, even like because we are SEO company, we do SEO as well, right? So if I don't rank myself well, then it doesn't make sense. So that's why I tell my team, hey, we need to rank for SEO services. So we from like nowhere to be found to at least now is in some of the in fact quite a lot of keywords about SEO services is first page in
Wow,
Singapore context.
also.
So I think but then there's a lot of time where you see companies they actually buy domain like okay, as in like SEO, always have something about SEO in the domain itself, right? For the sake of SEO benefit. But I think in a way, right, you want to build a brand, you wouldn't want to use these kind of terms and you might get a short-term benefit, but in general, right, I always believe that you don't need this kind of keyword rich domain to rank, right? So I think this is one way for me to also prove to like saying that, hey, without you have a proper brand and you can still rank without such kind of a keyword rich domain. Yeah, so I think that is something that brand is definitely important lah. So that's, I think, a lot of time people they don't realize. Yeah.
I've seen because I follow a lot of Western podcasters and all that. In fact, a lot of those digital marketers, when they don't build agency, in fact, a lot of them, they just build their own, let's say, the popularity. It's like they do a lot of sharing, they build a podcast, they build a list, and then eventually they sold the list. They sold the list. And I've seen a lot of them, and they actually gone into a company and started to going and build something bigger, because one of the guy that I follow, I forgot what was that already. I think it's Morning Brew, if I'm not mistaken. I think what they did was they sold to I'm not sure which company, and now they are building this into a kind of like a powerhouse to help a lot of so-called influencers to, all you need to do, let's say, for example, if you're an expert, for example, all you need to do is to start a podcast, and we're going to help you monetize. We're going to help you find clients to monetize, to advertise with you and stuff like that. We'll help you promote, because we have our own pool. We have millions of people who subscribe to our newsletter and listen to our podcasters. We can introduce you to them. It's kind of like a model that is really working well. It's really working well. I mean, that's
I think,
something.
in fact, a lot of things like in the past, right? I think these people don't see this as of value, but I think nowadays, like email lists, all these become something of value. Even like you see, right, for website, there are people who build website, optimize it,
And so,
and can flip it, right? The valuation is 20x, 30x kind of a situation, you see.
Yeah.
So I think all these literally hold value nowadays. So if Like for example, maybe when if I want to exit, right, at least I can tell the buyer, say, hey, this we are ranking for certain keywords. The traffic value is there.
At least
That's
the,
true.
the domain has value lah. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard say agency is a good place to gestate software products.
Ooh.
Caveat is cash flow need to be healthy so the resources don't get diluted from product building to serve billable hours. That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. I mean, it's a balance that every business owners or every entrepreneurs will have to strive. But I believe,
Precisely.
I think it's very important for like entrepreneurs to always have a lookout for possibilities.
Yep.
You don't want to react only when the time comes. I actually kind of like like the COVID, we were hit. We were hit, and I was lucky that with Andrew's help, we sort of like pivoted. But I don't know. I wouldn't say that I should have predicted that, but then again,
Nobody
I guess
knows.
sometimes nobody knows.
Yeah.
But I guess we should be constantly at the lookout for a different way of doing things.
But looking back, if you think about it, the good thing about COVID is it affected everyone in the world.
Yeah.
It was not like localized to a certain region and say, oh, Asia got hit, the rest of Europe was okay. Then you're in trouble. But the fact that because it affected on a global scale, everybody got caught.
Precisely.
And the saving grace is nobody has an answer. So that's the good thing. If you can survive this, you're quite okay.
Yeah. So I think the recession, upcoming recession or something like that, right? If you're able to survive, I think you definitely will emerge stronger for sure. And it helps to, okay, I'll not say cleanse, in a way, it helps to balance out the whole economy. Yeah. Right.
It's a good time to clean up the dead wood.
Help me to increase the talent pool a bit when other companies start to lay off.
Oh yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
So yeah, we're coming to the end before we let Manfred
that
do
was
the
fast.
so-called website of the week. But before we go, Ian, what will be the one very important piece of advice that you have for fellow entrepreneurs? Anyone else?
Yes.
I think may not be just as in entrepreneurs, but it can be for everyone. Because to me, I always find that the word being resourceful, right, is the most important asset. Because with being resourceful or just simply the ability to go and find your own solution, right, this is something no one can take away from you, right? So which means how much you can learn, amount of skills you can acquire is not limited by anyone but you yourself, right? So I think that was something I personally believe very, very strongly, because from learning about SEO to start running ads, and also like not just Google ads but also Facebook ads and so on. So it's just simply being resourceful, trying to find your own solution. You get to in a way unlimit yourself for a lot of opportunities.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Richard was saying big fours are losing local contracts to survive with contracts won at the global pitches. Wow, that's good to know.
Yep.
And then the council also not that relevant anymore, to be honest. Like what four A's, what big four? Seriously, like you don't remember that anyway. So thanks for sharing, Richard and Chuai. And Manfred, you're up. Have you got this? Let's see. What is that?
CapCut.
Oh, okay.
Talk about the Meitu. Of course, when you talk about Meitu, you definitely have to talk about CapCut. And CapCut actually caught my attention because it was from ByteDance, the people who give you TikTok.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
know
from
that.
TikTok. Then the interesting thing, if you use CapCut, the app, is the after editing the video, most software that I use for free always put a watermark over the video. End up, I don't want to use.
Right.
But this, they put a page, a screen at the end of your video. Then I was wondering, I can just cut away at the end. Then I just take the whole video and do it up. So it caught my attention. But I think the most interesting part here is the music. So I think
they have their own library.
Yeah, their own library. They Facebook also have a Facebook sound collection.
Yes.
They also has I think this one should be similar with TikTok one. So I haven't explored further in. So this is quite interesting. But of course, the usual edits is very similar to Meitu. But I think this is even more versatile. They have a lot of things for you to play. Meitu is more for editing photo for start, then they move on to video. I'm not sure. I'm just making an assumption. But do try it out if you want to join the younger generation to work on the phone. Where you wanted,
Yeah, I was about to ask
That's a
that.
good one.
I was
That's a
about
good
to ask
yeah,
that.
Mm.
yeah, because I don't want to be a dinosaur. I want to know what they are up to. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Good.
okay.
Good, Manfred. Thanks for that. So I
Yeah.
already put the link in the comments. I
CapCut.net.
only see YouTube coming up, so it's not showing on Facebook, but nonetheless, just go to capcut.net, CAPCUT.net. That's the link. All right. Thank you so much for the website of the week, and definitely Ian for joining us.
Yes.
And
Thank you
offer
guys
us,
for having me here.
yeah,
really,
such
really like this kind of chit chat session.
yeah, this is a very
You're
in-depth
most welcome, my
sharing coming from a person who is very solid with like more than a year kind of like cash flow in place. This is very
That's
solid
very
for an
good. That's
agency.
very good.
That's
Yeah.
very powerful. That's very powerful. So, yep, I think you have learned a few things from this conversation. Remember, if you like this, remember to share to anyone else that might find this useful. Thanks, GY, for sharing the link. And I think with that, we wrap this. Okay, thank you so much. This is the Three Marketer Show. We do this every Wednesday night, and we're gonna hit 100 real soon. See you next week, same time at 10 Malaysia time.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. All right. Thanks, guys. Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Bye
Take care.
bye. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.